Welcome to Office Hours at TradersPost for December 16th, 2025. I'm your host, Peter Hartman, part of the marketing team here at TradersPost, alongside Mike Christensen, co-founder and CSO. We're always working to make TradersPost better day in and day out. Each week, we take a deep dive into all things TradersPost, answering your questions, gathering your feedback, and helping you get the most out of the best advanced trade execution engine available. To that end, we encourage you to submit your questions in the chat, and we'll get to them at the end of the stream. Today's stream is brought to you by Blue Sky, the best-in-class prop firm that offers same-day activation, daily payouts, and no max restrictions. But we'll tell you more about them later. First, a little housekeeping. Holiday season is upon us, and Traders Post is going to be out for the week of December 22nd. So next week, if I'm not mistaken, that's next week. The service is still going to run. You can still use the service and send in your webhook trades. I don't even know why I'm implying that there'll be any problem there. There won't be. Okay, but when it comes to the content, when it comes to our streams, we won't be here. It's funny. I keep thinking, like, I know it's supposed to be holiday season, but I still want to do office hours myself. I'm like, could I? Nah, we need some time off.
I left office hours on the calendar in case you and Tom still wanted to do it, and I know you'll probably still want to do blueprint and after hours. So it's tentative. Let's put it that way.
Awesome. I like that.
Okay.
Let me put on. All right. So yes. So just keep that in mind. We may or may not be there next week, but of course we'll be back. After that week. There is also an issue with Topstep. Topstep is having some service issues. I don't know if I should check that out. Status.topstep.com. Are they still having trouble right now?
As far as I can tell, I think the last update I got did say that did show that they were still having some issues.
All right, I'll go and take a look at that real quick. Topstep.com. All right, status. We're looking into a platform-wide issue. Okay, so they're still looking into it. All right, so just to give you folks a heads up, there is an issue going on Topstep, and Topstep is aware of it. Mike, how you doing?
Doing well, man. It's been a crazy day in the markets today. If you're a scalper, it's a scalper's paradise, zigzagging back and forth all day long. So that's been good, but not great for trend trading.
Are there more people? I mean, maybe it's impossible to answer this question, but is scalp trading more popular than trend trading?
I don't know. I don't know how to really measure that. I would imagine possibly, because there's a lot of people who kind of start out in that domain, fast-paced scalping. They want the success really quickly.
Right.
It's just scalping is incredibly difficult to do. So when you get into the domain of trying to take, small amount of points off the table and do it consistently, I think there's a lot of people that start out that way, but maybe don't last very long. It's about the most aggressive way you could trade possibly. It's
Right.
kind of like being a fighter pilot. Your attention is required the entire time. You have to be on top of every move, every directional change, because you're putting so much risk on the line for such a short move in the market. So it can be very stressful.
Before you said the word stressful there, it sounded like you were doing a pretty good pitch for scalp trading. It sounded exciting.
I was hoping to add some caution here to this, that I don't recommend scalp trading, despite the fact that I do it myself.
I totally get that. Totally get that. All right, cool. I'm wearing my holiday hat, my Christmas hat.
I noticed. Appreciate you being festive.
Look, I mean, look. I have a 4-year-old, and she forced this upon me. And sometimes the 4-year-old asks you to do something, and you're like, "This is going to be stupid," and then you do it, and you're like, "Hey, actually, this is going to be my new identity. I like this."
Sure.
I am super dad, and I'm super Santa. That's what's happening today. All right. Did you get all your Christmas shopping done?
Yeah, a few things still left to get. Stuff I couldn't get online. My daughter, for example, I'm sure she's not listening to this, so I can say this out loud. She wants this Hollister sweatshirt that I couldn't get online. They were sold out. So now I got to go find every Hollister in the Denver area and see if I can find this sweater.
Oh no. Okay, that's good. I made a stupid mistake. I, for some reason, thought that I didn't have to get my partner a Christmas gift because in our 20 something years together, we don't celebrate Christmas. But there's just something about having a child around. Now we have a Christmas tree, and under the
Mm,
Christmas tree, there's packaged gifts for the daughter, packaged gifts for me that I didn't know, and now there's not one for her. So I'm going to be getting, like my mother did when I was a kid, an empty box, and I'm going to wrap that up. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I know, Mike, you're looking at me like your mom didn't actually do that. On Christmas, Tom and I opened up our gifts, and there was a box of Sega Genesis. We've been waiting for this Sega Genesis all year. I mean, we don't get any gifts. The only gift we ever get is on Christmas. So
right.
we open this thing up. To be honest, we actually peeked at the gift earlier on, took a little peek. Oh, Sega Genesis, guaranteed, in the bag. Family's around, we open the box, empty. All right. A little piece of my soul died that day. All right. Never to be recovered. Tom and I, we start crying, bawling. Everyone is laughing their butt off. And I know you're thinking, Peter, there's got to be a happy ending to this. Yes, there's a happy ending.
Okay.
There was indeed a Sega Genesis hiding behind the couch. But did they hurry to give up this Sega Genesis? Did
No,
they
no, they
hurry?
let you
No,
stew in this for a
no,
while,
yeah, they
right?
let us sit there, and
Yeah.
we cried and cried. Thomas trying here in the chat, the Sega PTSD. I still remember it to this day.
But yeah, that's traumatizing.
Yeah, and I'm gonna do that to my daughter too. I'm kidding,
Did
I'm
that
joking.
build character, Peter? I guess that's the main question.
I think it did. I think it did. It taught me a lot about the world. Don't trust people, not even your mother. But it was definitely a lot of fun. But yeah, I think I know what I'm going to be getting my partner. We'll see. We'll see.
But you're gonna traumatize her through this whole process again.
Look,
That's your aim.
I already started the game. I forgot. I didn't know. I'm going to take
Goodness.
some box of maybe I'll get some appliance box and I'll package up some big thing and then put it in the tree. Man, actually, now that I think about it, I think I would just laugh. That would be a gift for me. I would just be laughing continuously. Never give her the actual gift. Just let it be an empty box. I'm not that mean. I am a little mean. I'm not that mean. We'll see. All right. Do you buy yourself a gift? Actually, I'm going to tell everybody else, folks, if you didn't buy yourself a gift for Christmas, you're in luck because there will be, wait, should I say this? A special for TradersPost? Should I? Is that something I
Sure.
can say?
Let's give everybody a heads up since those who watch office hours tend to be existing customers.
All right. There's going to be, if you miss Black Friday, if you miss Cyber Monday, don't fret because there's another discount coming down the pike. Christmas special. So take a look for that. That's going to be released, I guess, what, on Christmas Eve? When does that get?
We'll do the 22nd through the 2nd. And this will be an interesting one. You have a little bit more time to take advantage of it. It will be for upgrades, new subscriptions, or changes to the annual membership if you're on a monthly membership right now. So it is definitely great to try to access some of the other features or upgrade to that annual plan and lock in, a 40% discount for the entire year, plus the additional 15% you get from being on the annual plan. So it's about the best deal you're going to get on TradersPost for the entire year.
Awesome. Awesome. Really good. Tom says you should wear the hat forever. Distracts from the rest of you.
From ... the rest of you.
Rule in our home, Tom says, whatever you ask for Christmas, you ain't getting. I like that rule. It teaches people to just like be happy with what you get. You get what you get and you don't get upset. I'm teaching that to my daughter.
That's the phrase we learned when we were kids. You get what you get and you don't get upset. It's true. I think the other one was just focus on what you're getting for others instead of what you're getting.
Hey, I like that. I like that. Samantha Barley in the chat. Samantha is actually my partner. She's saying hi.
Oh, hey, Samantha.
Maybe she's like trying to find clues for her gift.
She was waiting for you to drop what you were going to get, but she already knows to look for the fact that you're not going to actually give her a box with something in it. So,
oh my God, I definitely have to do that. All right, folks, there's been a lot of good stuff, a lot of good clips being released on the TradersPost YouTube channel. Our new series, well, it's our old series, Trading Bot Session, is now called Alphas, a name that I highly approve of because I chose it, and very happy that everybody agreed to it. It's got some. It reminds me of a TV show that I really liked in the past, a superhero TV show called Alphas. I don't know why they canceled it, but we're bringing it back. All right, traders are the new superheroes in this world. And Mike did an interview with someone by the name of Trades by Rina, and she talked about the beginning journeys of her trading career. And I wanted to play a little clip, and then we can talk about here in just a moment.
Sure.
Awesome. Let's pull this up. Mike, you won't be able to hear it, by the way.
Okay. Let me see if I can recollect what part of the conversation this was.
All right, here we go.
I wouldn't say trading, but I started investing mostly in GameStop in 2021. It was COVID.
Followed
we
the
were
crowd
bored.
on that one, huh?
Yeah. And I think I read about it like in the New York Times or something. I was like, oh, let me see what Wall Street bets. Let's see what that's about. Okay. And kind of got sucked into the whole GameStop cult, embarrassingly, for, I don't know, like 9 months or so. But that's what sort of started me on my trading journey. Ultimately, I started selling options, like covered calls on my GameStop stock, to try to recoup some of the investment back. And that sort of fueled my interest in options trading. Started to just, ingest all the information I could find on like leaps and straddles, and I can't even honestly remember the names of half of the options trades now, because I switched to futures, and that's where I've stuck. I think, everyone kind of has to find an instrument that works for them, and, an asset that works for them. And so I eventually started trading futures probably in about 2022, so like 3 years ago. And at that point, my cash was sort of my cash flow was wearing down, from all of the options trading. Again, this is like my first year of trading. And I think I was watching someone's YouTube, and they had, I forget which prop it was, but like an ad at the top for prop firm. And I think I had always, I'm sorry, am I like rambling way too much by this?
No, keep going. By all means.
Okay.
She wasn't rambling way too much. It was a very lovely interview. Very much appreciated her honesty and candor. I'll be honest with you, I'm very appreciative of everybody who comes on to Alphas and does an interview with Mike, because they're very open and honest about their experiences, the ups and downs. She tells a story in this interview. You can go and check it out on TradersPost. The full one is posted online, where she kind of entered into a dark place because, things went awry. How many times are there stories about traders that I've heard, that you've probably heard, where, things are going well, you think you're on top of the world, and then boom, hits you like a smack in the face. So very much appreciative of her talking about this. Mike, I wanted to bring up the fact that she got involved in trading, introduced to this through GameStop.
Yep.
And she's not the only one that I've heard say this. I find it very interesting that like how people get into the trading world. And I'm wondering now, we don't have a GameStop thing, but I'm wondering if the AI bot creation, this whole poly market world might be actually encouraging people to get into trading. What are your thoughts on that?
Unquestionably, yeah. I think, a lot of the evidence is definitely anecdotal. We've seen, of course, a big market uptick in TradersPost customers, which of course tells us the story. But I think the other thing that you can take a look at is just going to Google Trends and just putting in day trading or AI trading and going all the way back to 2004. And you'll notice that over time, day trading really wasn't that popular of a term for a really, really long time until January of 2020. And then there was this huge uptick in day trading as a search term. And it kind of fell off a little bit after the GameStop debacle. And then in September 2023, it started to pick up again. So day trading is now on the same kind of move that it was on since 2020. Where as of last month, it's about 83% of the same volume that we saw back in 2020.
Really?
So we're at this explosive era right now for day traders across the board. More interestingly, if you type in AI trading as a search term in Google Trends, you'll see that since roughly April 2025 of this year, that search term is at an all-time high. So people are looking for opportunities to use AI in their trading approach. Between day trading as a search term and AI trading and other forms of trading that exist out there, futures trading, options, stocks, and the number of applications and broker apps that are out there now that support different types of trading, I think we're at a point now where retail has access to more technology, resources, tools, insights, information, and automation than we've ever had before. And it's definitely encouraging and stoking a ton of growth.
I wonder if prop firms is also responsible for that, if that's in the mix, because the educational path that evals specifically can give you, I think is very cool, and the cap on your risk is actually very uh, seductive, alluring, appealing is what I'm
Mhm.
looking for, compared to like just putting your money in the market. Some of the stories that I hear from your interviews, someone puts in 25 grand into the market and they lose it. Okay, that's a
Exactly.
heavy blow. But if you put in $300 for a prop firm and then you lose that, it's not as severe.
And you still have the potential of making the same amount of profit that you were hoping for with that original $25,000, but you only risked a few $100s in the process. It's a really good test of your skill and your ability to find edge and your ability to manage risk. Better so than putting a boatload of money into futures right away and catching yourself in the traps that we find people in all the time: oversizing, over trading, revenge trading. Their trade frequency is too high. They're just trading the wrong instrument, not finding the right setup, so on and so forth. There's more reasons that you're going to fail at trading than there are reasons you're going to succeed. So you have to figure out how to get past that barrier.
I wonder if that's going to improve because of AI. Because just being able to have an education, like talk to AI, it's like having your own personal consultant there, your own personal tutor who can help you to understand. I remember Tom told me a story one time. He was calling some broker to put on some trade. I don't know. And they asked him, like, are you looking to do puts or calls? And he was like he didn't even know what those terms were, and he felt
Mhm.
embarrassed talking to the person. Well, now before I engage in something, I just go to AI, start asking questions, explain this to me. Where are the pitfalls? What would be the best way to get started? And even if you're in the middle of your trading journey and you hit a wall, you're not just by yourself. Like, I always have this feeling like I have this smart companion with me who can help me get unstuck. If I want to build a bot, if I want to, if I'm looking at TradersPost and for some reason I feel intimidated because dumb old Peter doesn't know how to tie his own shoes, I can ask AI, hey, fill out this page for me and figure out how to set up a strategy for me, and I'll watch the AI go through the TradersPost platform and like fill stuff out. It
Mhm.
just makes me feel like unstuck, that there's always a path forward because of AI.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to look at AI now. As long as you've prompted your model properly. As we know, AI tends to be very pleasing and very reassuring, and has a bias towards giving you the answer you're hoping for. So you really have to make sure that you build the prompt to get it to teach you what you might be making mistakes about, because if you don't do that type of prompting for it to be critical in the things that you're saying, then it's more likely to agree with you and lead you down a path of sort of having a false impression about what's real and what's not. I've done a lot of work with my own ChatGPT instances to try to get it to think critically and to get it to not just be an agreeable friend, but rather to be more like a mentor and a coach, so that it's identifying errors in my thinking, and not just being a yes man. And that helps a lot. But yeah, I think the best use of AI right now, especially for beginning traders, is to ask a lot of questions and
Yeah.
we'll run through that journey about what to even look for. The other thing I've noticed though is I've watched a lot of new traders start to use tools like ChatGPT or even Gemini, and some of the suggestions that I've seen come back for a trading strategy and for what to trade and how much to trade, some of those suggestions have been wildly off the mark.
Mm.
One of the first ones that I saw, even just a few months ago, was the suggestion that with a new $50,000 prop firm account, the first trade you should take is 10 contracts in ES. Well, if you're aware of how big the ES contract is, you'll know that that's an incredibly large amount of size. In fact, in many cases, it might even violate the max contract size with some of the firms out there. I have no idea why ChatGPT suggested 10 ES, but that's way too much size. You should be down on the micros to get started. So just beware. Beware of what you're being told with these tools.
Totally. Yeah. We're not dealing with infinite intelligence here. We're dealing with quasi AI, and you know, just treat it like your drunk best friend. Dude, I know exactly what you need to do. Full port.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, that's a lot of fun. There was more that I wanted to say, but we'll save that for maybe next week. We got some questions here for you. We're going to jump into the first one here. By the way, love the insight they were providing there, Mike. I got lost in the podcast that we were just having. I felt like I was listening to an all-in situation, and I was like, "Don't ask Mike a million questions, Peter. Now is not the time." But we do got
no
questions.
Problem. Hit me with them though.
All right, here, first question. For setting market orders in subscriptions, which is the best one to use, last or bid ask?
So this is a good question, and I think a bit of a misunderstanding of what that setting is actually for. Of course, when you submit a market order, we can't control what you get filled at. So the last or bid ask settings have nothing to do with what your entry ends up being. When you ask for a market order, you're going to get filled at market price. That could be anywhere. It could be below the bid. It could be above the ask. It could be anywhere where you actually get filled because markets are dynamic. What those settings are for are how to set up your relative take profit and stop loss, and whether or not we should use the last price to determine the number of points away or below for your stop loss or take profit, or if we should use the bid ask as our mark price for where we set the relative take profit or stop loss. So it's really just in relation to where the current market price is before we fill your order and how we should attach the take profit and stop loss. I tend to do the bid ask as an option because that tends to reflect what the price is going to be in the future if that price gets matched by the participants in the market, and that tends to represent a very good starting point for where to set the take profit and stop loss without causing too much slippage.
Awesome. Great. We got another question here coming up, but before we do, let's hear a word from our sponsor.
Looking for a prop firm that actually plays nice with automation? Meet Blue Sky, built for serious traders. And with TradersPost, it just clicks. You connect Blue Sky inside TradersPost, route your TradingView signals to paper or funded accounts, and let it auto-manage entries, stops, and targets. You control risk per trade, filter by session and symbol, and pause or resume with a single switch. Every fill is easy to review in one dashboard. Funded accounts can request payouts daily with launch plans starting at $49. Get funded with Blue Sky. Execute with TradersPost. Apply today at bluesky.pro, BLUSKY.pro, and plug in your edge. Trading involves risk. Use proper risk management.
All right. I see your question in the chat, Daniel. We're going to get to that right after this question here. All right. If my trades are just open and then exit or take profit, then I don't need side swapping, correct? This is from Arthur. Arthur also asked the previous question.
That's correct. If you just want to open the trade and then send an exit signal or exit with a take profit or stop loss, then you don't need side swapping. Side swapping is basically another way to call it would be a position reversing or offsetting. And basically, it's the ability for you to take a long and reverse it in the opposite direction with the same number of contracts. And this is really good for strategies that are just kind of ping pong back and forth between long and short. And every time you take the long, there's a reason to now be short. And you've built a strategy that maybe, let's take a Bollinger Band strategy, for example, where every time the price is at the edge of the Bollinger Band at the top, then I want you to reverse and go short. And then every time it comes down and hits the bottom, I want you to reverse and go long. Now, I can't speak to the success of a strategy like that. It's probably pretty poor. But if that's what you wanted to do, then you would want to use side swapping or position reversing. Otherwise, just set up your entries to do take profit or stop loss, or send an exit signal when you want to get out.
Awesome. Daniel in the chat here, he is asking, do you know any profitable bots to connect TradersPost to TradingView? And is there a video on your channel about it? That's going to be a new question we're going to get, right? Instead of profitable strategies, it'll be profitable bots. It's a good question.
which I don't know that there's a difference between the two. I would say those are basically the same thing. You need a profitable strategy
Right.
to set up a trading bot with. Um, the answer is you're on your own here, and we don't mean that in a negative way. We just mean to say we support you as an independent trader, and you really need to spend the time developing your own approach. What I can tell you is that in my experience, you're rarely going to find anything that is profitable out there that you'll find off the shelf, because if it's just sitting there available for anybody to use, it more than likely was discarded by its original author, or it really doesn't have any much edge to begin with. More often than not, people that have edge and an approach to the markets that works, a lot of that edge really comes down to their ability to manage risk and to manage their own entries and exits, and know when not to be in markets, and how to expose themselves to opportunity. So there's not a lot of strategies out there that are just sitting there waiting for everybody to use that are profitable, because that would just create too much concentration in the market. And in the moment that they seem like they were working would be the moment that they stop working.
Right. Right. Catch 22 there, or some other word. Tom was telling me how, like, he could have a bot strategy that's working, that works at, let's say, 12 to 3 during the day, but it doesn't work at a different time, or it works for 3 weeks and then it doesn't work for 3 weeks. Like, it there's no such thing as like a working strategy, is there?
I mean, there is. It depends on your timeline. It depends on how far back you've back tested. It depends on how it manages risk. There's certainly, arguably the higher the time frame you go on, and the more you're diversifying across multiple instruments, the more likely you are to stay in the market for much, much longer.
Right.
I think any strategy can work if it has some kind of simple view of momentum or mean reversion. It really just comes down to how much risk you're putting in front of it. What happens a lot, especially with people who are picking up strategies off the shelf, is they go full port into it. They put their entire balance into it, hoping that it's going to be super successful and make a bunch of money in a short period of time.
Right.
But diversification is definitely going to be a requirement to making something work over the long run, and managing that risk.
If you want to be pointed in the right direction, at least this is my perspective, take a look at the interviews Mike has done on alphas on our channel. You can hear what other successful traders are doing. Can I guarantee that that's going to work for you? No, but I can point you to somebody and it's working for them, and it can give you some insight to see where to get started, or start following them. Reach out to them and ask them. Maybe they can provide you some guidance. Who knows? Mike, based on what you said about bots, Tom says I won't have Mike write the marketing for my strategy bots. Can't help you there.
It's
You're
probably
on
not
your own.
gonna, no. It's very difficult to get a strategy to work. What I have found is oftentimes, and this is a credit to Tom as well, he has the confluence of indicators, a bot that he put together a long time ago, which basically allows you to combine different indicators together. This is where you really kind of have to operate in your domain of creativity. You have an idea for how an approach might work. So if you take that one strategy and combine it with another filter of some kind, or another indicator, and you want confluence between those things before the trade is taken, that sometimes that can improve your edge as well. But it really just needs to be tested over and over again, and against market data that hasn't been seen before. The walk forward testing phase is usually something that people tend to skip. They'll do a bunch of back testing, especially on a short period of time, and assume it's just going to work in front of new market data. And that's where I think you can get into a lot of trouble.
This effect where everybody kind of runs towards a specific, working strategy. I think Mike Davis is saying here, yep, it's called crowding. I've never heard
Mhm.
that before. All public strategies must inevitably die of crowding. That's interesting.
Yep, especially when concentration shows up or liquidity shows up because of the same reason. That liquidity now represents somebody else's view of edge. If you see a bunch of buyers showing up at the same price, sometimes that can be a good place for them to exit a position, and their exit creates a sale in the market, which then could provoke sellers to show up and then basically turn against you. So the moment you're trying to go long, now a whole other regime of participants has joined the market to push the price in the opposite direction. And that's what makes the whole thing one giant, complex, adaptive system, is that it's constantly evolving. It's never a consistent pattern that does exactly the same thing every single time.
I kind of like that. It seems yeah, if you could just control the whole thing and manipulate the whole thing, eventually the thing would be gamed and you'd just be screwed.
Sure.
All right. Chaos provides freedom. Mike Davis asks, does TradersPost have an improve feature where you can improve by a few ticks? I don't know what that means exactly.
Maybe you can elaborate that on, Mikey. I think basically you're talking about improving your entry maybe by a few ticks to avoid some slippage, in which case I would say just have a look at, maybe testing out some limit orders for a while, because of course market's always going to result in a bit of transaction cost. The other suggestion would be try taking less trades throughout the day. That's something I'm trying to push myself towards, because trade turnover is a huge cost to your performance on a day in and day out basis. If you take 30, 40 trades in a day, every single one of those trades comes with commissions and slippage, especially in futures. And that of course is saved if you have one long position throughout the day.
Awesome. All right. Question here. Next one is from Nimrod. I'm using a TradingView strategy with Apex, and I want to support the following flow. Send a limit entry order. If the order fills, proceed as normal. If it is not filled within X minutes, cancel the order and do not allow any additional orders, stops, or profit targets for that trade. Nimrod, is that
Yeah,
possible?
I appreciate this question a lot. We now have this on our roadmap. We've had it requested in a few different ways in the past, but a cancel timer is something that we are investigating, and we'll let you know when that's live.
Interesting. Another one here from Mikey. I don't know if he's clarifying here. So the entry comes in, and then when TradersPost receives the signal, it puts the limit entry X amount of ticks below the entry.
I see. Okay. Yeah, thanks for clarifying. This is something we're calling JSON formulas. It's going to work similarly to kind of spreadsheet formulas. And what that means is you can send the close price variable, the placeholder, or the price itself, and then you could multiply it by 0.999, for example, or 0.99, which would be 1% below that price. So we're going to introduce some mathematical formulas that would give you the ability to do that kind of thing, where you want the price slightly above or slightly below, or you want to modify where the take profit ends up, things like that. At the moment, it's not a feature that we have available.
Thank you for clarifying that, Mikey. All right, next up from Thomas. Can trades be copied to other accounts without those accounts receiving a JSON directly?
Yes.
I didn't know if we meant prop accounts or another TradersPost account.
Yeah, so that's the concept of a signal and a strategy. Essentially, a strategy is what receives the JSON message or the JSON signal or signal. I know we have a few different names for it internally, but really we're talking about the signal itself. A signal is a webhook and a JSON message that come together. You receive the JSON message that goes to the strategy, and then this strategy has a number of subscribers connected to it. So those subscriptions are individual accounts, and we'll basically copy the trade across all of those accounts subscribed to that one strategy. You don't have to send separate requests to different accounts. You just have one strategy and it copies it to all of them at the same time.
Tom was clarifying for me, he meant broker accounts, so connections, which is what
yes,
you're explaining there. Awesome. All right, cool. Next question comes in from Chris. Chris asks, hello, I am looking for settings within TradersPost that will automatically close a trade if one side or the other of a bracket order fails or rejects. Do you know if this is possible?
No, not at the moment, unfortunately. if the bracket order fails or rejects, that would already be at the broker side. So when you
Right.
send a bracket order, you're sending it with your entry, which means that all three orders will take place at the same time. You have your entry order, your take profit, and your stop loss. If one of those were to fail, then the entry should have failed in the first place or been rejected. You shouldn't end up with an entry that doesn't have the take profit and stop loss with it. So I think it's important to recognize where a rejection or failure might take place. But if a failure takes place with the bracket itself, that tends to be with the broker, and there's typically a reason for that. A reason that the trade itself failed. I've had that happen myself, where both sides of a trade have executed at the same time, and it's gone against me, unfortunately. But that's something you'll have to take up with the broker, since we've already sent them the trade at that point.
Thank you. If I disable my strategy, will my limit close order still remain? This is from Preston. If I disable my strategy, will my limit close order still remain?
Yes. Disabling the strategy is just preventing additional incoming webhook requests. It does nothing to close any existing orders or affect anything happening with the broker of all of the subscriptions to that strategy. So the limit close order would still remain.
So we have two more questions left here. Chen asks, I want to place an order that starts as a limit order to wait for a specific price, and then automatically converts into a market order once the price reaches a certain predefined level, the trigger point. Is this possible?
That's something I think you would really want to program in in PineScript, because what you're saying here is you want to trigger that when that price is triggered on the chart, then send a signal to enter at the market. So I would recommend setting it up to where you have a line on the chart, and that serves as your resting limit order. And the moment price triggers that limit order, it sends a signal to TradersPost to enter a market order at that point.
Sense. All right, we have a last question here, and then I'll get to the chat here in just a moment. Chen, another question from Chen, who asks, does your system/platform support interactive brokers, IBKR, adaptive order type?
Unfortunately, no. At the moment, we've integrated with interactive brokers using their standard order types, limit, trailing stop. I think trailing stop was a recent addition as well, and if it's not available yet, it will be very soon. I can't remember the state of trailing stops with IBKR. And then, of course, there's a take profit, but adaptive order types are not available.
All right. Thank you for those questions submitted. You can submit your questions on the support queue for TradersPost. You can also reach out to us on X or on YouTube, but the little bubble on TradersPost is the best place to do that, and we can get that on the show. In the chat, we have McLovins, who asks, what I really want is when my TradingView signals generates a signal and posts in TradersPost, I need TradersPost to manipulate the price to always hit my take profit.
I'll assume this is a little bit of trolling here.
Right.
I wish we could do that. We'd all be super rich, wouldn't we? Anybody who uses TradersPost would be super rich.
That's on our roadmap, 2026. Mikey says, I don't exactly know if he was responding to someone else here, but I understand that feature, but I can definitely see how that interface will confuse most beginner users. It would be nice feature to include in the web interface. JSON is always scary to newbies. So I guess that's the formula thing we're talking about.
Yeah, I think the JSON formulas, I agree. We do require a bit of sophistication in order to use TradersPost, and as time goes on, we'll find other ways to improve the simplicity of using it. The UI might have just some rules that you can dial in, and basically the JSON is what's created in the background. And we're slowly getting to that point where the UI, constructs the JSON for you, or you keep this in the settings of your strategy. One way, of course, around that over the long run for us is to keep as much in the UI as possible. And you just send a JSON message for your entry and your exit, and the rules are followed in the strategy setting. So you'll always have the ability to send the JSON message, which works with an inheritance structure where the JSON message is listened to first. If the JSON message doesn't have the definition, then it looks at the strategy after that.
JSON is always scary to newbies. This is something that Trevor has brought up in meetings. I totally am behind him on this. We want to create, I feel like we have a Swiss Army knife, and the way you don't want to sell your Swiss Army knife is like just opening up all the tools and handing it to somebody. You're like, it can do this, it can do that. And we have an amazing platform. You can do all kinds of things here at TradersPost. You should hear when people have the aha moment where you realize what TradersPost can do for you. It's incredible. But there is something to be said to being able to deliver that or display that to people in a way that doesn't intimidate them, so they can get actually the benefit from what we're offering them. So
I agree.
Doesn't have to be scary, and we'll find ways to make it digestible for everyone, for sure.
Agreed.
Hell yeah, I love the response. Thanks, guys. Well, thank you, Mike, and thank you, McLovin. Thank you to everybody who's watching here today. Really appreciate it. It makes it so much more fun to do these things when you're there, you're participating, you're engaging. Love the questions that you're submitting to the show. Makes everyone's life better. There are lurkers, there are people who watch us after the fact, and your participation makes it more entertaining for them as well. Holiday season is upon us. I don't know when I'm going to be seeing you again, when we're going to be seeing you again, but from those here at TradersPost, I know I can speak for them. We really appreciate you, appreciate our customers, our viewers, and if we're always going to be working to make TradersPost the best advanced trading platform out there, execution platform out there. I'm sure I can find the words, okay? I got to read my teleprompter to figure out how to say this marketing spiel. It's an amazing platform. Mike knows what to say. How would you
use TradersPost?
Use TradersPost.
Automate your strategies and copy your trades in TradersPost.
All right, folks, that's it for us. You know me. Every time Peter, if anybody sees me, they go, Peter never wants to get off camera. He never wants to leave stage. He always wants to be there talking. But we got work.
Do we need to yank you off with a cane?
Yeah,
on stage?
I need a red light for like comedy. I see that red light, I'm like, oh no. And then they start flashing the light. You're like, oh, someone's gonna be mad at me.
All right, fine, I'll get off.
Thank you, everybody. And as always, wish you happy trading.
Happy trading, everyone.